Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 Movie News. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our every other week movie news show where we look at the weekend's box office, we make some predictions for the next couple of weekends, we look at movie news, superhero movies, horror movies, we look at castings, all that kind of thing, and just generally faff around.
Oh, there will be faffing. I'm already faffing a little bit because I've noticed I was moving something on my shelf earlier and I didn't put the damn statues back. And I can just see the gap now. It's in me off.
Yeah, it looks horrible.
It does, doesn't it?
Everyone, mock him. Standard mock.
Terrible. I hate it.
Yeah, my camera's a little bit too high.
It's just as... Look, infinite faffing.
Slight adjustment. No, that was sly. That was sly. I announced it because I'm honest, but
oh, that's real sly. And telling them about it is as sly as it gets.
Yes. So it's actually been. So this is maybe every second week. It's actually been an extra week since the last episode because Connor got sick last week and we couldn't record. TV news skipped a week. Lots of stuff skipped a week. It was just one of those weeks. So we have 3 weekends of box office to look at to start with. But we only made guesses for the first 2, unfortunately, which kind of sucks because the weekend we've just passed there was Avengers Endgame's opening, which, before we even get to the numbers, I'll tell you what those were when we get to talking about that weekend, but probably the biggest weekend of the year movie-wise, so it kind of sucks we didn't make guesses. However, I was on record on a stream this past week. I was asked to make my guess on a stream, so
he claims.
I do have a guess on record, which you could theoretically go find if you really wanted to comb through. I think it was a late stream last week, but we'll start off with the weekend of the 12th to the 14th of April. We did make guesses. We guessed Shazam's second week, but we also guessed Hellboy and was Missing Link. Yeah, so that was the one you were excited for, the animated one, because it was
which I've not seen yet because I've been ill. I've not seen Shazam yet either.
I know. So Shazam was number 1. You guessed 33 million, I guessed 32.
We were optimistic, weren't we?
I was making a strategic guess here. The actual amount was 24.4.
Yeah.
So
as soon as you said that, I was like, no, that's too high.
Yeah. We'll look at current worldwide and stuff once we get to the newest weekend. There's no point in doing them here. So that was number 1. Number 2 was a little. With 15.4 million. It's the new like Big. Oh no, not Big. Sorry, no, it's like Big. Yeah, it's just the woman becomes a girl.
Right.
Yeah, it's a comedy. It's a thing.
I'll take your word for it.
I saw a trailer for it. Number 3 was Hellboy. So you guessed 24 million. I guess.
Wait, you're on about Missing Link here, not Hellboy.
No, this is Hellboy. You guessed 24 million for Hellboy.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought Hellboy was. I thought you were about number 1, but it was Hellboy for some reason.
Oh, number 1 was Shazam.
Now, either I'm completely not with it, or you said Hellboy before.
If I did, I didn't realize I did. I didn't mean to, but I don't recall saying. Maybe I did say Hellboy, but it was Shazam. Shazam was number 1 with 24.4.
Right.
And the guesses are read out for Shazam were what our guesses for Shazam were. Number 2 was Little with 15 million. Number 3 was Hellboy, which you guessed 24 million. Which was really optimistic.
It was very optimistic. You can't have gone that low.
I guessed 19. I thought for sure it'd be under 20. And my thought process there was right.
But not low enough.
12 million opening weekend for Hellboy. That is a bomb. That is the bombiest of bombs.
That is terrible.
That is terrible. More on Hellboy's bombiness in the other weekends to come. Number 4 was Pet Sematary, 9.7 million. Number 5 was Dumbo, 9.4 million. Number 6 was Captain Marvel, 8.6 million. Number 7 was Us, 6.8 million. Number 8, new entry finally, After, 6 million.
What's After?
I have no idea. Number 9 was Your Missing Link. Now, I want to just point out here, you sat there and debated with me and said, you've seen marketing, it's going to do well, it's got cred. You guessed 28 million.
Anecdotally, I have seen marketing at the wazoo.
28 million is higher than what was number 1.
It is, yeah. I really thought this was going to do better than this.
It opened at number 9 I guess 15 for the record, which obviously means I won because it's definitely the lowest of the two that's winning. It opened to 5.9 million.
Was it a wide release?
Look across this column there. It was, yeah. It was, 3,400 theaters. There was only 2 or 3 that had higher than that. So yeah,
that's fair. That genuinely surprised me. Like I said, anecdotally, I saw a lot of marketing for this. I knew a lot of people that were interested. So I am surprised.
All I'm hearing is, Peter, you were right. That's all I'm hearing right now.
Yeah, I bet you are.
That's all I'm hearing, because I was right. You sat there and debated with me, and it opened at number 9. I'm taking points. I got a clean sweep there. Now, I'll give you Shazam. I played you dirty and just went one below, but the other two I felt quite confident they were lower. I didn't necessarily go as low.
Yeah, you weren't close enough with either of the others what they should have been.
To be fair, though, with Missing Link, I think I would have went, maybe not quite as low as 6. I think the only reason why I said 15 is because you talked me up. And also, at that point, I was going to win no matter what, if it was as low as I thought. But you talked me up, so I went a bit higher to make sure that you didn't just sneak it out because I went too low.
Yeah, there's no fun in playing tactically. You just go with a gut.
Nah. Full sweep, clean sweep for that weekend. Number 10 was the best of Avengers with 2 million. So there's your top 10. And I'm just noticing another new entry at 17, which was Noah the Musical with 392,000.
Unsurprisingly, I don't know what that is either.
Yeah, unsurprisingly. So then, weekend of 19th to the 21st, the big new release was Curse of La Llorona, which we did make guesses for.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling super optimistic about this one, I don't think.
You guessed 14 million. You thought that was going to be a relatively low thing. I said, nah, I thought it's going to do solid for the budget that it is. I said 20. Number 1 it was with 26.3 million. So
that's surprising.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was 6 higher than what I said, but I think that was kind of what I was thinking. I thought it's Conjuring universe. It's, they tend to do well. The Nun made an obscene amount of money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was another one where I remember anecdotally, I wasn't seeing a lot of the Conjuring side of the marketing.
Clearly, your anecdotal evidence is just bullshit, and you
clearly the marketing I'm seeing is just wrong. What's going on? What are my targeted ads doing? Why am I getting a shitload of Missing Link and apparently nothing else last time we did this?
I don't know. I mean, number 2 was Shazam, which that was the only thing we guessed for that weekend, for the record.
Right.
Number 2 was Shazam with 16.4 million. Number 3 was a new entry, Breakthrough, with 11.2 million. Number 4 was Captain Marvel with 9.1 million, which was its, I want to say, 7th weekend? Yeah, 7th weekend. Yeah. Hey, that ain't bad for weekend number 7.
I suspect it went up for 8.
We'll get to that, but it did, yeah. Number 5 was Little with 8.3 million. Number 6 was Dumbo with 6.6 million. Number 7 was Pet Sematary with 4.8 million. Number 8 was Us with 4.1 million. Number 9 was Missing Link. So it stayed at number 9. I guess that, if you want to call that a good hold, that was 4.1 million. And then number 10 was Hellboy with 3.9 million.
So that dropped from 12 to 3.
Yep. That was a 67.2% drop when it started at 12 million.
Yeah, obviously, usually when it starts low, the drop is a lot lower. Usually. So that takes us to this current weekend that we just passed, which is the 26th to the 28th. The big one, because Avengers Endgame came out. And so here's the thing. Avengers Infinity War broke the opening weekend record with 257 million. And I assumed the Endgame would probably make a little bit higher than that, break the record again, but not by a huge chunk. There's a logic to that.
Yeah. And that seemed to be what the estimates for a long time were saying. Last week, as we were gearing up, midweek, sort of Wednesday, whenever I did my late stream, we weren't quite at the estimates are definitely at 300 million. But the guess I said on stream was because, it's tracking to be like 270, maybe 280. I was like, you know what, I'm going to be ballsy. I'm going to go high and say 300. I'm going to say it breaks 300. And I felt like I was doing an upper, like, that's kind of pie in the sky, but it could just do a number. But
you won the shot by quite a lot.
By the time we hit Friday, but the official estimates were lower than that at the time. By the time we hit Friday, it was like, nah, it's probably going to be higher than that. And then by the time we got to the end of Saturday, and then of course the final like estimates coming in, because we're actually recording this on Monday night, so we actually have the actuals now. The final figure for Avengers Endgame opening weekend was 357 million.
Again, remind us, what was Infinity War?
257 million. So here's one of the big factors that contribute to this. Now, admittedly, I'm not saying this is the reason why this is the first one to do this, because clearly the reason why this even happened is because the demand is actually there for them to do it. But one of the things that happened this past weekend is that lots of theaters were literally playing the movie 24 hours per day for like all weekend. You know, from the Thursday like 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock showings, that was the first showings, and it kept playing up, and they had people working at 4 a.m., 6 a.m. just doing showings.
Obviously, with it being 3 hours movie plus, you know, what, half an hour beforehand for trailers, half an hour to clean up before show. That's 4 hours of showing, right? That for each screen. If you dedicate 3/4 of your screens to it, that's still not enough. If you run a standard day,
I was seeing images of theaters. It was, you know, it's like they've got 18 screens and all of them were Avengers for a couple of days. I would have expected
they'd have like maybe 3 or 4 screens on other movies.
Well, some did, but some didn't. So some were literally just saying, "No, this weekend all we're playing is Avengers Endgame." And here's because I was seeing some people were posting the theater like show times, right, for what they could pick, and there was literally a showing every like 20 minutes of Avengers Endgame, which means that every screen was playing it.
Yeah.
So they could do that. And the other thing is that they're selling it. I saw a photograph of a theater. This wasn't even the US. This was Mexico. It was a theater in Mexico, and it was showing you all the queues for the concessions, for the tickets. It was just packed. It was mobbed. And then at the end of the photo, they just added on, this was at 4 a.m. And this was like Sunday morning at 4 a.m. This wasn't opening night at 4 a.m. I don't know, it's one of those things. The pop culture phenomena just kind of hits every so often, and you get one of these. And it's not like this is unearned. This was 11 years of build up through various movies, and this is the big finale of it, and all the rest of it.
It's still ridiculous.
It's insane. 357 million opening weekend domestic is insane, which naturally gets me to talk about the worldwide, because this is the first
also
movie.
Insane.
Yeah, this is the first movie in history where it crossed $1 billion in its opening weekend. In fact, it got to 1,223,000,000 in its opening weekend.
Now, worth noting, across various countries, it's been opening since Wednesday, Thursday, right?
That's not unusual, though.
No, but I assume that's being counted into this.
Of course, it always does, though. Like the comparison's still valid because every movie does that.
Well, I mean, I'm saying because China was an early one here, whereas China is often 2 or 3 weeks later.
Well, China's worth mentioning, but here's the thing: even if you include the Infinity War China opening, along with its opening weekend where it opened everywhere else, it's still not crossing $1 billion in its opening weekend. This is still markedly up. But they made an effort here to release it in China at the same time. Something that I think a lot of movie studios are going to want to do now, just so they can try and get these big figures on opening weekend, so they can brag about them and say,
they got no chance otherwise, because the China market was a couple of 100 million, right?
It was 300 million as well. 300 plus. Which broke the record for China. But it's worth mentioning that even like the highest grossing US movie in China before that, the last Fast and the Furious, was not even anywhere. That was like, I want to say that was like just over 100 or something like that. It wasn't like anything close. This was night and day difference. Like, and this is one of the reasons why no matter what happens in December with Star Wars, like China just don't give a shit about Star Wars.
No, they don't.
And because of that, it's never going to do this worldwide. This is mind-boggling. This is 1.2 billion in its opening weekend, which means we actually have to discuss the possibilities here of the almost guaranteed final takedown of Titanic, which admittedly is only number 2, but given that the only thing that's beaten it's another James Cameron movie, it's still quite notable. And given,
still an achievement, yeah.
Yeah, and given that record held from 97 to 2009 and has held at number 2 since, because I said this to you in the TV news, that it's kind of it shows you how insane Titanic was at the time. That outside of the one other anomaly that was Avatar, it's taken 20 plus years for the movies to gradually build. Because
with inflation as well, and
yeah, because Avengers 1 hit 1.5, and that was like the closest we'd ever gotten at the time was 1.5 billion. But we've been inching closer. Every couple of years we kind of get that next milestone, and we kind of get there.
Wasn't it just for anyone that you said there? You mentioned in the TV news, we did have like a 30-minute discussion on this at the end of the TV.
This was before the actuals, though. This was when it was just the estimates.
Yeah, this was a few days ago. But if anyone wants just a bit of extra discussion on this, go over to the TV news.
It is worth mentioning because you mentioned inflation there. There's actually, because normally you talk about inflation with movie, right? Which is almost pointless to do, honestly, because that's always a factor. If you adjust for inflation, Gone with the Wind's still the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
So there's no point in even talking about it. Here's an interesting tidbit here, though. Inflation actually hurts Avengers for crossing Avatar. Because box office is counted in US dollars, and the US dollar is weaker than it was in 2009. And
that makes sense.
And because of that, the international amount counts for less than it did at the time. So usually you think, oh, it's easier to hit a number because of inflation. In this case, it's actually the opposite. It's slightly harder. So it's not always the same way. So Titanic's going down. There's no way. Endgame is probably going to cross 2 billion by the end of its second weekend.
Probably, yeah, just about.
Which means it'll probably cross Infinity War just over the weekend. It'll cross Force Awakens around that time as well, because that's pretty. Because Infinity War, I think, was like 80 million away from Force Awakens worldwide figure.
Yeah, they were pretty close.
Yeah, so they're definitely going down. There's not even thinking. Titanic's like 2.2 or something like that because of the re-release that happened. That's going down.
Let's have a look at what the top all time is at the minute on
worldwide.
Yeah.
But Avatar at 2.7.
Yeah, Avatar's at 2.78. So it's on the upper end as well.
The question is the legs on this good enough to sustain it to get to close to 3 billion, if not even hit 3 billion? I saw people doing a lot of math this past weekend, where if you look at the multipliers, and by multipliers what we mean is how much the total was compared to the opening weekend. And just what the average multiplier for a Marvel movie is, what the lowest one was, what the highest one was, what the biggest multipliers have been, but more specifically, the one that you want to compare it to most, I guess, was be Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
The multiplier for Infinity War has it beaten Avatar.
Interesting.
If it can hold that. But here's the thing, though. All this 24-hour showings malarkey that we got this first weekend,
it's going to slow down.
Yeah, that's not going to happen next weekend. Now, don't get me wrong. I still think, when we get to guesses, I won't say it just now.
It will be rather healthy.
I still think it's going to be really healthy. I think it's going to be healthier than most movies' number one weekend. Still.
I think that is fair.
Because for the record, it broke the one-day record. It was like 156 million on Friday alone, which does include the Thursday previews, but they always do.
They always do, yeah.
Yeah. Because actually, this is one of the weird things. Actually, it didn't beat the record in the UK, but only because the Bond movie that has the record opened on a Monday, and they included the entire week for the opening weekend.
Oh, that's shitty.
Yeah, that's bullshit. No.
Oh, that is don't get me wrong. The UK loves Bond, and it would do very well no matter what. Yeah, because it's a shitty metric.
Because Endgame I think was within 8 million. I'm pretty sure if you didn't count Monday through Wednesday on that Bond, it probably beat it.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the all time now. As of right now, Endgame is 17th.
Yep, 17th. It's worth mentioning that out of that top 20, there's only like 2 that don't belong to Disney.
Yeah,
something like that.
BV's Disney on this list, isn't it?
BV's Disney, and now Fox is also Disney.
Yeah. Oh, if you count the Fox ones as well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 that aren't Disney,
and that's including Fox as Disney now.
And that's including Fox. So 8 if you count if you count the Fox one separate.
How's it 8? There's at least 2 Fox ones at the top.
Titanic's Paramount.
It's Fox as well. It's a co-production.
Okay, fine. I'm going by what this says as the lead. Like, go and argue with Box Office Mojo, not me.
No, I'm serious. That Titanic is also Fox.
Fine.
I think Paramount distributed it in the US. I think Fox distributed it everywhere else.
Fine. I'll let you have it.
Anyway, so just let's put that in perspective. It's number 17 for the total worldwide chart of all time after its opening weekend.
For reference, 18 was Iron Man 3.
It's going to be. Right, here's my favorite tidbit of this. It made it made more than the lifetime domestic gross of Batman v Superman on its opening weekend. Also the worldwide, actually, now that I think about it. But that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is.
It's really funny.
So I'm just looking at the top handful. So obviously Jurassic World is at 5 with 1.6. So, well, that's gone already within like 3 days, I'm sure.
They're almost all gone. Like,
yeah, that one's gone. Maybe even before we get to the weekend, though.
Oh, it's possibly, yeah. By the end of next weekend, I think it's at least number 3.
Yeah, because obviously 3 and 4 are very close together. So 4 was Infinity War, which is 2048, and then Force Awakens at 3 with 2068. So there's 20 between them.
Yeah, I think it gets to number 3 by the end of next weekend, and then we'll see how high it goes. I think it definitely gets to number 2.
Yeah,
and it could topple Avatar. It just kind of depends on
legs,
how much it, because it's going to have good legs by any other movie standards, but does it have good legs compared to its opening weekend?
Yeah, and also compared to Avatar, which had ridiculous legs.
Oh yeah, Avatar didn't have a good opening weekend at all. It just had good legs. That was all legs.
And that's the thing. It didn't have much else around it, whereas there are still other big films coming in the next few weeks.
Well, there's nothing next week.
Nothing next week, but the week after, I'm pretty sure has something.
Pikachu. I think Endgame's still number 1 the week Pikachu comes out.
Maybe. I don't know, because I mean, Pokemon's such a phenomenon in its own right. Like, if you remember, 2 or 3 years ago when Pokemon Go came out, holy crap, that was everywhere.
I don't think Pokemon's going to break the bank. I think it'll do fine, but I don't think it's going to.
That's fair.
Set the world on fire.
I mean, not long after that, you've got Godzilla as well, right?
Godzilla's on its 5th week. I think that's far out enough.
Okay, that's far out. Yeah. That's slightly further than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me count them here. Last week 2. Last week 3's Pikachu. Week 4 has John Wick 3.
No, see, I'm sure that'll perform
fine for it
adequately.
Yeah, for what it is. I don't think it's going to necessarily be competing with Avengers.
It's not a huge blockbuster, though, is it?
That's week 5. Oh wait, I think Godzilla's actually week 6.
Oh really? Oh, okay, it's not having as much of an impact then.
Friday the 3rd's week 2. Friday the 10th's week 3. Friday the 17th's week 4. Friday the 24th's week 5. That's Aladdin. Aladdin is its competition on week 4. And Aladdin might top it on but week 4 is that much of a achievement.
And Disney's winning either way, so they don't give a shit.
Disney's winning either way.
And I don't know. Aladdin could go either way. That's a sketchy one.
It'll probably do decent because it's a Disney live action.
It's a Disney live action, yeah.
But
where's Dumbo sitting?
Oh, Dumbo's not done too hot actually. So we'll go back to the weekend. But yeah, Avengers has done insane. These are insane numbers. This is when it's exciting to follow along. Like I was paying more attention to the estimates this weekend than I have done in a long time because something exciting is happening. It's like, oh, records, numbers are happening.
It's funny. I've paid more attention to the numbers than I have the film.
Yes. So. No, it's interesting news, and I think actually just looking at this from an industry perspective, because a lot of the headlines have been, industry reacts to shocking weekend box office and that kind of thing, and I might have made this point and almost can't remember.
You did. This is what we talked about on the new TV news.
So I'll just reiterate the point briefly here that I'm curious to see the other studios and how they react to this, and how, you know, because this raises the ceiling on what's achievable, and they're all going to want this. They're all going to look at this and start salivating and be like, oh, we need to get that opening weekend like Endgame did, or even close to it. And I wonder what lessons they take from it. And it's interesting to me that Avengers 1 broke records, and that set Warner's on their failed attempt at the DC universe, and they've already crashed and burned by the time Endgame came out. I just wonder how studios react to this now when they see this astronomical figure that no one's else even gotten close to, including the only thing Marvel themselves.
I don't think I actually made this point on the TV news, but the only thing that might make it different is when Avengers hit, and it did fantastic, right? For when it was, everyone went shared universes. That's the key, and everyone rushed them out, and they all failed. Every single one of them. They can't. They know they can't just try that again.
Hard now. Conjuring's doing just fine. You can't argue with it.
I can't. No. For its budget, it is doing perfectly fine. But in terms of the big blockbusters, your big franchises.
Yeah, Dark Universe failed. I mean, DC's had some successful standalone movies, but the universe has failed.
The universe has failed. The Robin Hood thing is dead.
I forgot that was meant to be.
That was meant to be. Godzilla's kind of half in, half out. It's like, yeah, we're doing a shared universe. It's happening.
It's Godzilla.
5 years later.
It's just between two things, though, so it feels kind of,
Yeah, it doesn't feel the same. So they know they can't just go, right, we'll start a shared universe. They've got to try something different, right? Which is interesting to see what they're going to do.
I mean, that could be the lesson. I think the other lesson is that, because one of the things you just said there is they were all rushed, and every single one of them was. I think they look at Endgame and see what the long game, because
you think they actually play the long game? You think someone at the head of Warner goes, hey, maybe if we slow down.
Maybe they won't, but like that is why this worked. The Endgame, the feeling of finality after 11 years of build up. And the fact that I saw people tweeting that they were like 9 years old when Iron Man came out, and they're like 20 now.
Yeah, and so is Alden.
And they grew up, and they grew up with these movies. The finality to this is partly why this is done so insanely huge. And honestly, I think ending the last movie on a cliffhanger, which may have been risky, paid off. I think people flocked to this.
Yeah, for every one of the people that were like me who went, nah, screw it, I'm out. There's clearly 5 more that went, oh, I need to see this in the cinema.
5 more? try 500 more.
for every one. like not the people who were going to see it anyway, but the people who didn't see it at the cinema the first time around, saw it on the home release.
Oh, sure, okay.
Or even later in the cinema run, clearly went, okay, I need to see this right away. Sure.
Yeah, people were racing against spoilers. No one wanted it spoiled. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, number 2 on its 8th weekend, amusingly, was Captain Marvel with 8.3 million. In fact, actually, just one final record that Endgame broke. I think this is worth mentioning. 357 million is actually higher than the box office domestically has ever made in a weekend.
The entire box office.
The entire box office, like all the movies combined. That is more than the industry has made in a weekend before. Obviously, the total weekend was over 400 million. And that's like a new record for the total box office for a weekend. So, also worth mentioning. But anyway, number 2 is Captain Marvel, 8.3 million.
Yeah, it's an obvious one. People wanting to see it on the I think the Thursday it went back up to like number 1 for the day.
It did, yeah. It was number 1.
People wanting to see it before Avengers.
Yeah, that has crossed the 1.1 billion mark, so that's done very healthy. It's crossed Wonder Woman and gross. So
yeah. It's in 24 for all time.
So billionaire Brie has taken the top spot in the lady superheroes.
For now.
Well, to be fair, I mean, Brie Larson's been in 2 Marvel movies and they've both made $1 billion.
No, they have, but let's not give her the credit for Avengers.
I'm just joking.
She was there. I will be interested to see how the next Wonder Woman movie does against Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I'd be curious too. I feel I think the next phase of Marvel is exciting, not necessarily from like I want to see the movies, even though I do, but Like from are they successful? Do they keep this ball rolling? Can they pull people in from new properties?
Or do people go at the end of Endgame? Do you know what? That was an end, and kind of go, right, I'm done there for now.
There was some surveying going on from Fandango or something, but it was something like 80-something% wanted to see it again, and something like 90% were looking forward to more Marvel movies in the next phase.
No, like I said, that was based on nothing at all. What I just said. It was just a possibility.
So Captain Marvel was number 2. Sorry, number 3 was The Curse of La Llorona with 8 million. That's fine. Yeah. Low budget movie. 4 was Breakthrough with 6.8 million. Number 5 was Shazam with 5.5 million. Let's look at the worldwide for that. That's interesting. 345 million. It's on.
It's a significantly lower budget superhero movie, though, even by Warner standards.
It is. Honestly, it probably deserves a bit more than that, but it was made for 90 million, so that is enough. The sequel's moving ahead, seemingly. They're hiring writers and stuff.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, that's amazing, but for its budget, that is very respectable.
I do think they released it at the wrong time of the year, though. I think sandwiched that in between Captain Marvel and Avengers was like, sure, they had a decent opening. I think had they put that out in, say, like August, I think it'd have fared a little bit better with legs.
That's fair. They're probably thinking that's too close to, because they've got Wonder Woman 80. Is that still coming this year? Or is that next year?
No, that's next year.
Is that next year now? But they got Joker, haven't they?
Yeah, that's October.
Yeah, so that's probably why they didn't go August. They're like, yeah, we want to spread them out.
Yeah, I feel like Joker's such a weird, separate, standalone thing, though, that it's not.
Yeah,
so different. Number 6 was Dumbo with 3.4 million. The worldwide in that is 328, but that's obviously a much higher budget than Shazam is. So that's closer to being like a disappointment, or it is a disappointment. If not, it's not an outright bomb, but it's not setting the world on fire. When you compare it to like Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella and everything else they put out.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that was always the one of the 3 I'd expect to do the worst this year in terms of their remakes, because you've got Dumbo, Aladdin, and then Lion King. Lion King's obviously going to.
That's doing the best. Yeah, there's no way that's not doing the best. Yeah. It ain't doing Endgame numbers though. I'm saying that.
No, but Disney don't need it to.
Yeah. Number 8 was 7 was Little with 3.4 million. Number 8 was Pet Sematary with 1.3. Number 9 was Us with 1.1, and number 10 was Penguins, which is a Disney nature documentary thing, seemingly, with 1.1. Hellboy, I want to mention, because it's his 3rd weekend,
got destroyed by a penguin documentary.
That came out at number 14 with $354,000, which is notable because
wasn't that 3 million the week before?
I've got a percentage drop here. It dropped 91% from its 2nd week. I would like to know this $354,000 worth of people who went to see it this weekend when Avengers came out. I want to know who these people are and what sort of life choices they've made. Admittedly, there's probably a portion of them it's just we couldn't get into Avengers because it was sold out. I guess we'll see Hellboy. I
think they were all Tim.
Most of those people saw Captain Marvel if they couldn't get into Avengers, but there was a small section of people who says, no, we'll see Hellboy.
No, I'm telling you, they're all Tim.
Yes. Hellboy's a bad movie, though, so, I mean...
I still kind of want to see it.
That's fair enough, but it was a mess, so... I'm more than happy for it to not make that much money, as much as it ruins the chances of making another Hellboy movie for a good decade at least, if not more. Because this was a pretty big bomb. This was especially bad. I mean, the worldwide on Hellboy. Eek.
Oh wait, what? First off, what was the budget that we've got there? If we've got one,
50 million.
It hasn't made that yet, has it?
No. Box Office Mojo doesn't even actually have a worldwide figure yet, a foreign figure yet. It's definitely released in some places, but clearly not enough that they've bothered counting yet. The domestic gross so far after 3 weekends, and keep in mind it's dropped below 1 million for its 3rd weekend, so it's making next to nothing now. It won't be in theaters next weekend. If it is, it's on like 2 screens. It's at 21.5 million, which is probably going to be its total gross.
Even if we're generous and give it like a 1/3 split is domestic, the rest foreign, it's still only scraping to 60 odd.
Yeah, which is still a bomb.
Oh yeah.
That's still a dire bomb. So not so good. So that is the weekend's box office, which does mean we're going to make some guesses for the next 2 weeks. So if I just flip my page.
Yeah, and you're going first on Avengers this time because you've got a guess already, and I think it's just more interesting. And I'm not going to be a dick and just go like slightly higher or lower. In fact, to the point where even if I've got a number in my head right now and you say something close, I'll just go screw it and say something completely different.
All right. We're doing Avengers third weekend as well. I think it's interesting enough to guess that for week 3.
Okay. See, that's going to be a weird one because obviously we're more guessing on what we think the percentage drop between 2 and 3 is rather than the actual number.
And we can guess. Hustle's that movie with Anne Hathaway and Melissa McCarthy in it, yeah.
Melissa McCarthy? What? I don't remember this at all.
She's like a con woman, and she's training Melissa McCarthy.
That's Rebel Wilson, you idiot.
Ah, you're right, it's Rebel Wilson. You're right. I'm mixing my plump comedian actresses up. I apologise.
Yeah, but one of them is much better than the other.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah. All right. So week 2 for Avengers. Just for the juiciness of it, I'm going to say 200. Which I agree is probably too high, but for the juiciness of it, I'm saying 200.
Okay. I'm going 150.
150. I think this is going to be close because I can see it making like 170.
I can as well. Which is why I thought, screw it, I'll go low enough that it's interesting that there's a difference.
So if it's 175 or above, I win.
Yes.
Below, you win. And I don't think I've got my chances are too bad. I think
I genuinely think this could go either way between us.
Yeah. And that's the thing, if it makes 160 in its second weekend, that's still the highest second weekend of all fucking time. I mean, like, it's not...
Yeah, it's not a disappointment, is it?
No, it's ridiculous, it's insane. So the other thing we'll guess for next week, the highest profile thing
is it even worth it?
And I remember this from Trailer Talk, The Intruder. This is Dennis Quaid, and he sells his house to the couple, but he keeps showing up till it cut the lawn.
It's like 6
million.
6 million.
I'm going to guess 5. I'm going lower.
You might be right.
All right, Avengers week 3 for the following week, and this is the same week as Pikachu. Just if that affects you.
It will, because I think Pikachu will take some away from it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's definitely under 100 by its third weekend.
Okay.
I think it goes down to 80.
That was actually going to be my guess, so when I'm close, don't give me shit.
Well, okay. If you go with around that, what's more interesting there is actually the percentage drop. Because, from your week 2, that's a much bigger drop than my week 2.
That's true. I'm going to say 85.
Okay.
I'm going to say 85. And then Pikachu. Detective Pikachu.
See, I want to put it above that.
You think it's going to make like 90?
No, well, no, but that's the thing. I don't. I want to. I want it to make that much, but I don't. I don't think it's a 100 million opener or in that ballpark. I think it's a solid 65.
I am going to say 52. There we go. That's the guesses for the next 2 weeks, and we'll see how we do.
Probably badly.
I'll be honest. Even week 2 and 3 of Avengers is some of the most exciting things to guess that we've had in a while, because it's like genuinely quite interesting how much it's going to drop.
Yeah, definitely.
I will say I don't think it goes under your guess. I think 150 is the bottom end. I think that's like the floor for week 2.
I happen to agree, which is why I went with the low end, just to give the biggest possible gap between us.
Yeah, be interesting. Well, that'll take us on then to actual news. We can get away from the box office and start looking at actual things. We have, surprisingly, on a week where the biggest, comic book movie of all time comes out, We have very little.
There was other news.
Very little comic book movie news itself, but we do have a bit of potential casting for the Suicide Squad, which is what sites are now referring to James Gunn's movie as.
Yeah, they have been for a while.
Yeah. I'd clearly forgotten this because I was like, wait, not Suicide Squad 2 anymore.
We spoke about this.
It's been like 3 weeks since we did. I don't remember.
You give me shit for not remembering stuff all the time.
This is such a subtle change, though. You forget entire movie plots and concepts.
How dare you?
Easily. I sit here and say it. That's how I dare. Anyway, so apparently John Cena's in talks to be in Suicide Squad.
Sure. Why not?
He's got charisma, he's got chops. I like him more in movies than I do as a wrestler. So, go for it.
I haven't seen him in that much, to be honest. I just, see his face every so often.
Yeah, he was in Bumblebee, he was in the one about the teenagers having sex. Blockers.
That looked terrible, yeah.
It was alright, the first half was not bad. It got a bit too much in the second half, but he was solid in it. That's what it is. So he's joining not Harley Quinn. Well, I mean, Harley Quinn will be there, but he's joining Margot Robbie and Idris Elba so far. And apparently Jai Courtney's claiming he's back as Boomerang. Although I've not actually seen anyone from Warner Brothers confirm that yet. He's just trying to will it into existence.
Maybe that's what it is. He's saying it's true, and he's hoping that there's enough people want it that they'll go, all right then, go on.
All right, so on to other news. Some casting updates to kick off with. Michelle Yeoh has been added to the Avatar sequels, presumably 2 and 3. We're talking here, as opposed to all 4.
Sure.
Because 2 and 3 are being I mean, I believe they've already shot some stuff for 3 and 4, 4 and 5 rather, if I get my numbers right. But 2 and 3 are being, completely finished, and they've completely wrapped production on those 2. They're doing post. Michelle Yeoh's been added to the cast, so which means she's probably already been involved, but they'll just officially announce it. Yeah,
so that's the thing. It could be that she has been added to 4 and 5, and they're telling us about that now.
That's true. It just says forthcoming Avatar movies. That's all it says. So
yeah, God knows then.
I'm expecting it to be in the second one.
Sure, you'll have to tell me when it comes out.
Unless you tell me otherwise. You're not going to see Avatar 2?
God no. I'm not going to see Avengers anytime soon.
I don't care. James Cameron movie, it's an event. I don't give a shit.
It's an event.
I care more about Avatar 2 than I do about your puny Star Wars.
Good for you. And that's why you didn't go and see Star Wars.
Whatever your next Harry Potter one is. Which I just remembered there was news about Fantastic Beasts that I didn't put in the news. Which is just that it's a year later than everyone thought. It's going to be November 2021 instead of 2020. So it's 3 years between 2 and 3 instead of...
That's fine. Does that mean they're taking their time to sort it out?
You would hope.
You would, wouldn't you?
You would hope. So yeah. So anyway, Michelle Yeoh's going to play Dr. Karina Moog in the sequels. So
cool.
That's cool. And Michelle Yeoh's good. I like Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah.
Next up, Thunder Road are pulling together an impressive cast for Voyagers, which is an upcoming sci-fi film from Neil Burger, who made Divergent. Colin Farrell's been added to the cast, as is Ty Sheridan, along with Lily Rose Depp and Fionn Whitehead. I feel like I'm mispronouncing that. That's also one of those Irish names that there's probably a really weird pronunciation of.
Yeah.
Fionn. I feel like there's I bet that's like Steve in Irish.
I recognise his name though. Do I know him?
He's in Dunkirk.
Is he the young kid?
I think so.
Aye. That's where I know him from.
So this is from Berger, who worked on Divergent and Limitless. And the upside, he's going to direct a sci-fi thriller about 30 children who are set, and we've talked about this before when it first came up as been on the works, but 30 children who are sent on a multi-generational mission to populate a new planet. After the captain of the mission is killed in mysterious circumstances, the young crew descends into chaos, aligning themselves into tribes as they surrender to their most feral impulses. So it's Lord of the Flies in space.
Yeah, I remember this one.
He wants a cookie. He wants a cookie because he remembered this one.
You gave me shit about this 2 minutes ago, so I'm just making a point. I remember this one.
Leonardo DiCaprio is in talks to star in Nightmare Alley, Guillermo del Toro's next film, which is at Fox Searchlight, owned by Disney. Del Toro wrote a script with Kim Morgan, and he's producing with J. Miles Dale. It's set to go in the fall, so that's when they're going to be shooting it. It's based on the 1947 film about a corrupt con man who teams up with a female psychiatrist to trick people into giving them money. It's also based on a novel by William Lindsay Gresham. So, yeah.
Right. Not what I'd have pegged as the next Del Toro plot.
I bet it's more fantastical than it sounds.
It is with him on the helm, yeah.
Yeah, at least with his version, it'll be more fantastical than it sounds.
Yeah. It sounds very straightforward for him, doesn't it?
The original film, I'm sure, is just a straight noir, but
yeah.
This is probably going to be something else. And then next up, Ben Affleck is going to direct and star in a film called Ghost Army for Universal. True Detective Nick Pizzolatto wrote the script, which honestly puts it down a couple of pegs in my book. Yeah. But it's based on the Rick Baer and Elizabeth Sales book, The Ghost Army of World War II, how one top-secret unit deceived the enemy with inflatable tanks, sound effects, and other audacious fakery. The script is also based on the Netflix documentary Ghost Army. So the drama tells the story of the secret forces that relied on the sleight of hand and illusion to trick Nazis in 1944. A group of soldiers, including future luminaries Bill Blass, Ellsworth Kelly, Arthur Singer, Victor Dowd, Art Kane, and Jack Maisie, landed in France to conduct a secret mission. Armed with truckloads of inflatable tanks and a massive collection of sound effects records, because it's the 40s, it's not like they're breaking out the sound library. They created the illusion of troop strength on European battlefields to trick the Germans into deploying their forces at the wrong places. Joe, I hate that I don't like the writer for this, because this actually sounds like a really fun story.
It does. It sounds like a great concept.
I actually knew about the inflatable tanks. I saw this in a game show. There was a question about what's weird about this tank, and the answer was that it was inflatable.
Fair enough. All I will say as well is side tangent here.
Yes.
Reminded me of a piece of TV news that you forgot. Because and I know you forgot because you made a point of there was a section of HBO's told us about all these things. And I'm presuming it was in the same meeting. They also told us, there's no plans for any more True Detective right now.
I never saw that, I don't think.
Oh, fair enough.
I'd have mentioned that if I'd have seen it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was a reason this jogged my memory.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. It's honestly, it's probably the most fun World War II movie I can think of. Is them deceiving? It is, isn't it? And like, hey, let's play some sounds of like troops, and they had like fake bases set up and stuff like that, and just so that.
What's Affleck like as a director? I've not seen any of his stuff.
Oh, Argo's great. Argo's really good.
I've seen Argo. You're right, of course. That's good.
Yeah, Gone Baby Gone. People like that. I wasn't as in love with it. I think that was him. I think that in The Town. And The Town was another one. Because Argo impressed me because I thought The Town, well, people liked it. I thought it was really on the nose and really kind of obvious. But I mean, whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, so Ghost Army. Which takes us to Warner Bros. Is getting the $6 billion man back on track. They've hired Travis Knight, the director of Bumblebee, and I think, was it Kubo he did?
Yes.
He's on board to take the film. It's obviously based in 1970's $6 million man TV series. Obviously, it's billion now because inflation has made million not sound as good. Even though I would love $6 million, I will happily take that, anyone who wants to give it to me.
Try begging Disney. I hear they've got some money to spare right now.
Do you know what? Disney could afford to just hand me $6 million and not even think about it. They could.
They genuinely could.
They could, and they're not because they're dicks. So, Deadline confirmed that Knight is attached. Mark Wahlberg's still attached. He's been with it for a long time through various directors.
That just dropped my interest.
I know. Recently, Argentinian filmmaker Damien Chevron was attached to it, and there was a release date of May 31st, 2019. Yeah, that's right. It was meant to come out next month.
Huh.
And it fell apart because he left the project just a couple of months before it started shooting due to creative differences.
It's always a good sign.
Yeah. So they've been trying to get this going, and I never thought a $6 billion man reboot was going to be, development
hard
hell.
Of a sell.
But yeah, but apparently it is. So there you go. So that's coming. Next up, we have New Line's acquired the rights to Tom O'Donnell's forthcoming fantasy novel, Homerooms and Hall Passes. This was a competitive one. The book puts a twist on your typical fantasy story. The novel follows a group of adventurers who exist in a fantasy world. During the day, they embark on quests and battle evil wizards, and when they get home from their busy day of slaying, they unwind by engaging in a role-playing game called Homerooms and Hall Passes, where they assume the identities of average 8th graders. All is fun and games until an ancient curse sends the young adventurers into the world of mundane suburbia, where they must band together to survive the toughest adventures yet. Middle school. This is basically the comic book Die, but inversed, so that fantasy characters now have to be like, 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds, whatever age 8th grade is.
It's like reverse Jumanji.
It is kind of reverse Jumanji. It's reverse Jumanji and reverse Die mushed together.
Yeah. Sounds fun though.
It does sound actually bizarrely fun. Yes. They appear to be teenagers. But inside, they're secretly warriors, and they're having to blend in and pretend. There's even shades of Barely Lethal. A little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. Man, that's such an underrated movie.
I know, I really liked that movie, and everyone shits on it, or most people don't even know it exists. They just kind of ignored it. But
yeah,
I like that movie.
People missing out.
Next up, Netflix is going to turn the Joe Ballerini children's book, A Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting, into a family film, with Rachel Talalay set to direct it. The author's writing the script.
I actually know that director. She does a lot of TV work. Doctor Who recently.
I have a list of her work here. She worked on episodes of American Gods, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Riverdale, Supergirl, The Flash, Sherlock, Doctor Who. But she did do movies once upon a time, and her movie credits do get a little bit sketchy.
Oh, okay.
She did Tank Girl, which I never saw, but she also did Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare, which is by far the worst Nightmare on Elm Street movie. But well, except maybe the remake. But out of the original set, that was by far the worst one. Firefly.
I know I've liked a lot of her TV work, but we also know that guest directors on a TV show are not necessarily indicative of their quality as an independent, filmmaker.
Oh yeah, sure. But yeah, so that's the thing. So when babysitter Kelly Ferguson's charge is kidnapped by monsters, Kelly is recruited by a secret society of badass babysitters who protect the children and are destined to change the world. I'm pausing because my cat is just causing...
Knocked your whole camera off.
Yeah, causing chaos.
Like always, because cat's terrible.
You. Right. Joe, see if this was made in the 80s, I'd probably love it. That's really... Like, I might still like it, but if this was an 80s movie, it would be a guaranteed hit.
Sure.
Guaranteed hit. Right next to Adventures in Babysitting and movies of that nature.
Yeah, I don't think I can argue with you.
Yeah. It might still be fun, though. I do like the premise.
Yeah, me too.
Not that I typically watch a lot of family movies, but like...
Yeah, but every so often.
Yeah, there's the odd one that'll work for me. Next up, Clint Eastwood is circling to direct The Ballad of Richard Jewell, and has been in discussions with Disney Fox to make this movie. It's based on a security guard whose life was turned upside down in a moment after it was leaked by law enforcement to a reporter that Jewell was a possible suspect in the Olympic Park bombing during the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. For the moment, he was outed by an article written by an overzealous reporter at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Jill went from hero to one of the most hated men in America. He actually, because initially it was like he's a hero because he actually found a bomb and saved people by clearing the area, and then he was falsely accused of maybe being a suspect. And sure, I'm sure from the police perspective, they were just looking into it as a possibility, but
you're doing their job.
Yeah, but it got leaked and everyone. Became a bit of a witch hunt.
Just to rewind a second, are we calling it Disney Fox now?
No, it just says Disney/Fox. I think it was in the works at Fox, but now because Disney own it, they're just saying Disney/Fox.
Okay, yeah. That's fine.
No official name change as of yet. So yeah, it's the Ballad of Richard Jewell. So,
cool.
Yeah, I could see.
Sounds fine, but I probably have no interest in seeing it.
Yeah, that's fair. Next up, then we're on to the horror section, onto the horror movie news for the episode. This first one's unfortunate. The Nun sequel is moving ahead.
What's funny is I was going to ask, is it more Conjuring related news?
Well, I like the main.
As a throwback to earlier in this episode.
I like the main Conjuring movies though.
So do I. They're the only ones I've seen because I'm smart.
And Conjuring 3, I like the premise of. I mean, or not Conjuring 3, Annabelle 3. I like the premise of, and you do have the Warrens appearing in some small capacity. So I mean, is the thing. So yeah, The Nun 2's got a screenwriter. Akela Cooper has been hired to write the next installment. She was the writer on the Lionsgate CBS film Hellfest, which we did in streams. And it was watchable. It wasn't, we covered some shit on that show.
Hey, okay. For a Screams review, that is middling.
Yeah, it was middling.
That is perfectly reasonable.
I think we both gave it like a 5. It was like right in the middle. She also wrote the upcoming screenplay for for Megan, which is an AI doll thriller. And it's spelled Megan spelled with a 3 is the Megan.
Of course it is.
Yeah, which is also produced.
It's not even the third movie in the franchise, but sure, why not?
But it's that's also produced by Atomic Monster, which is James Wan's company, which obviously is also producing The Nun 2, because why wouldn't it be? Hopefully it's better than the first one, because the first one sucked.
Take your word for it. Never had to put myself through
Yeah.
it.
Next up, you know how it was a big success?
Yeah, was it?
Yeah. Well, Gary Dauberman, who wrote it, the screenplay for it, the movie, is now doing another Stephen King adaptation, Salem's Lot. We're getting a Salem's Lot movie, which, fun enough, is being produced by Atomic Monster, James Wan's company. Yeah, so he's producing that along with Roy Lee and Mark Wolper. Salem's Lot was King's second published novel and his first book to top the New York Times bestseller list. The story follows Ben Mears, a writer who returns to the town of Salem's Lot to write his next novel, only to find that the residents are becoming vampires. So,
I'm down.
Tim will be excited.
Tim will be over the moon. But
yeah, I mean, I had no problem with the writing in it per se. Like,
it's more the direction that was lackluster.
Yeah, the horror segments, which I think were the worst parts of it, were a problem because of the director. Because the director, I just don't think has it in him.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with the script or the set pieces in concept.
I mean, if anything, the kids being so likable is largely in part because of the script. So yeah, so not having the same writer is not a bad thing at all. But let's not stop there. Another Stephen King adaptation in the works.
Do you know what the worst part is?
Yeah,
I'm not even like mildly surprised.
This one never outright directly says it's a horror movie. It calls it a thriller, but it doesn't say anything that makes me think it couldn't be a horror movie. So since it's Stephen King, it's in the horror section.
You probably should have like started with this and bridged, so we weren't sure.
Nah, Salem's Lot was the bigger one, and that was the headliner. Well, Nun 2 was the headliner, and then Salem's Lot was the headliner of the Stephen King properties. Like, just go with it. So this is Rest Stop, which was a short story he did for Esquire in 2003. Craig Flores is going to produce, which doesn't mean a whole lot. It's described as a propulsive cat and mouse thriller. The plot follows a twisted journey of two women after the fateful encounter at a highway rest stop, which doesn't tell us much. I do actually kind of like what I read from just that, though, and that they have one kind of encounter in the middle of the night at a rest stop, and it starts this sequence of events. Yeah,
I can see that being fun.
I can see it being closer to a thriller than a horror movie. It just kind of depends, and like, is one of them just crazy, and therefore it's a horror movie?
Yeah, on that, I would actually agree thriller, just on that information.
But you add Stephen King's name to it, and you think...
And I go, well, the possibilities there. Yeah.
So, that's what it is. And then, last up this week then, on the news, Brian Bertino, who directed The Strangers and The Monster, both of which I quite like, actually. I enjoy both those movies. Not like... They're not like two of my favourite movies, the horror movies of the last couple of decades, but they're both really solid. Like, I really like both of them. They're getting his next film is gearing up. He's going to direct The Dark and the Wicked, and it's going to star Xander Berkeley, who this says is from Walking Dead. I had no idea he ended up in Walking Dead. I know him from Terminator 2, 24, and a bunch of other stuff. In fact, he was in Supergirl this season.
Who was in Supergirl?
He was Thingy's dad.
Nia's?
No, Citizen Steel, or whatever his name is. Citizen Steel.
I think I know who you're on about now.
Lockwood's dad.
Yeah, okay.
Lockwood Steel.
Yeah, sure. I kind of know.
What's his name again? What's his villain name? Agent Liberty.
Liberty. Yeah. I knew it was Liberty. What's the title?
I got there. But yeah, so he's going to be in it. Along with Marin Ireland and Michael Abbott Jr. So they've all joined the cast. The film is also written by Bertino. It follows two siblings who are summoned back to the family farm to await the inevitability of their father's death. What initially appears to be a timeless ritual of loss and remembrance turns out to be something very different. So keeping it close to the vest here.
Could be interesting, I guess.
Yeah. No, this is good. Like, based on who this is, just on his other movies, because I like both his other movies here, I'm down.
Sure.
Is it supernatural? Is it that Dad's got a lot of dark stuff in his past, so it's less supernatural and more, down to earth? I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
But it's sticking in the horror genre, so that's cool. It's funny how there's some directors who just stick in the horror genre. Like, they make horror movies,
and there's some that'll do like just one.
Yeah, but they're good at that. They just stick to the horror, and that's just what they do. But that does wrap up the news on this episode of 121. So yeah, of course you can let us know what you thought of the news in the comments, and like and subscribe and all that usual stuff. But yeah, so you can support us, of course. We go to Patreon, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. If you want to support us over there, you can support us for as little as $1 per month. You get some bonuses, you get some extras, you get some stuff early, and you can feel warm and fuzzy in the inside. But you can go to that. And get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz for channel updates. And before we actually say goodbye, Connor wants to do a bonus segment.
Look, you hijacked the TV news for like half an hour at the end of the show, and that was
natural. That was a natural just tangent.
Yes, but there was supposed to be a slot for me to talk about Game of Thrones at the end of the TV news, and you just pissed it away talking about Avengers.
We'll be recording the next TV news.
I don't care. It's more topical now.
Before the next Game of Thrones. Yeah, but some people won't necessarily watch the movie news though to get Game of Thrones talk.
Well, they'll look if they're watching this now. Great. If it comes to next week TV news, I can go, hey, it's on the movie news. Go check it out at the end there, and then they can go back, and it's no later for them. So it's early for some people. So screw you. Because episode 3 was a biggie, and
is there spoilers? Yes,
we're gonna do spoilers because screw it, why not? This was the big one, the Battle of Winterfell. It was an hour and 20 minutes of mostly solid fight scene, and I'll get the big complaint out of the way first. You're gonna love this bit, Pete. So dark. Like, hard to see dark. Like, the first 20-30 minutes before, like, all the fires go off after a bit, and there's this nice orange glow illuminating things. But, oh my god, I actually couldn't see what was happening properly for the first chunk of this. It was, it's horrible. It's horribly filmed. And I'm sure all the battle choreography that's going on is excellent, but there's nothing worse than when you can't actually see what's going on in a film or a show. It's horrible, and people are going, oh yeah, but it's meant to be dark. It's nighttime and there's a blizzard. Yes, it's supposed to be dark for the characters. I'm still supposed to be able to bloody see what's happening. That's the line. I need to see it. Other complaint, I guess, is not enough deaths, or not enough death. None of our huge main characters die, and that's a bit underwhelming. You have some noble sacrifices. Little Lyanna going out like a badass, taking out a giant on her own. This is like a 10-year-old girl, Pete, for reference. A 10-year-old girl going out facing off against a zombie giant, and Right. What has Twitter amused you with?
So earlier today on the Screams After Midnight Twitter, if I speak into the mic, earlier today I posted an image of The Boy 2, just with the caption "Oh no," and then someone replied to it, and then Tim has replied to that tweet. He said the following. So the image, just to sort of say what it is, it's just Katie Holmes with like a flashlight, and she's looking at
Katie Holmes is in this?
Yeah, Katie Holmes in the second one, and she's looking at the doll. She's looking at Brahms, the titular boy. Tim said, "I love how much is being said in one image. The contrast, the way they're playing with space. Filmmakers take note. This is the difference between a good movie and a great movie."
Oh, Tim. Oh, Tim. I haven't even seen The Boy, but no, I don't know. The Game of Thrones, the Night King's dead. It just happened.
Oh, great.
Like, we're only halfway through the season, and he was supposed to be the big bad, and he's not. It's done. So, I guess we have 3 episodes of political stuff and Cersei, but what the hell? I mean, they lost some terrible tactical moves, just throwing in the Dothraki like that. Yeah, sure, why not? And they know that the Night King can raise the dead, so yes, let's go send all the people, the women and children, to the crypt where there's all the dead bodies. That'll be smart. They'll be safe there. There was a fantastic zombie sequence, and I mean zombie sequence. I know we're not using the Z word, but it was, with Arya creeping around in the shadows and trying to hide from them, and you throw in a book to draw their attention somewhere else so she could escape. That was fantastically done. Tension was excellent, and the music. Holy crap, the music! This is some of the best this show, and this show's had some good music, but was really great throughout this. The pulsing battle music. But you get towards the end, and you have this extended piece where pretty much everything else stops, and it's just this music. And you have a piano for only the second time in the show, which is a big deal, because it's and the only other time that the piano was used in the show was when Cersei blew everyone up. So as soon as it comes in, it feels like okay, shit's going down now. This is a big moment. And it is, and you have Theon go out finally redeemed. He goes out like a hero, which is weird. And then Arya stabs the Night King, and it's all done. And what the hell? The writing, some questionable tactical decisions aside, was great. Some all the character beats played excellently. Maybe a little bit too much plot armor at points, but that was great. Some great cinematography once we got into the back half, when you could see what was going on. There was some gorgeous stuff with Jaime and Brienne fighting back to back, silhouetted with the orange fire backlight. That looked fantastic. But yeah, no, it was good. It was real good. Looking forward to the rest of the season, because I don't know what's going to go down.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I guess that segment will return on TV news.
Yeah.
Not the next one, because it's before the next episode still.
Yeah. I'd say, I'll do it on the next movie news anyway, but
there isn't one.
It's 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, that's a silly thing to say. That's
why I didn't say it.
Never stopped you before. That has been movie news though. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and if you can get it, it's always nice to have diplomatic immunity.